Hey friends, it is Ask a Flower Farmer Wednesday. It's your friend Lisa Mason Ziegler coming to you from a very cold fulfillment center. Our heat went out at about 9 o'clock this morning and we are a little chilly. So really glad to be here and have some really fun stuff to talk about, I think. First, out of the gate, I wanted to say that, I don't know if you've moseyed over after you've seen my post today, but there's a really special sale over on our web store. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, and we're already having some pretty major movement. So I would say get over there and do your shopping. Hey, folks, and basically the entire store is on sale with the exception of courses, books, and gift certificates. So it's a great time to do some Christmas shopping while supplies last. And y'all, remember, look at our awesome tote bags and t-shirts. And y'all, I'm doing like this test marketing thing. I really want to sell some swag. So really great deal. And so check all that out and get your supplies while we have them in stock. So it went down, I think, to 28 or 29 last night. I got one. I thought ahead, Rhonda. Rhonda's so good at bringing me samples. She can't believe that I actually thought to do it myself, right? So it went down to 29 last night. So my cool flower beds still are not covered. And so it was morning when I got up, I thought, holy cow. Pretty chilly outside, but I didn't cover them. And everybody looked fine when I left to come to work this morning. And so I am here to answer your questions. Remember, you put them in the little bubble with the question mark down below. Perhaps the most frequent question I am still getting, is it too late to plant cool flowers? And under that heading, the most common thing that people have a little backwards is they think it's better to direct seed late, but in fact, if you're going to push the envelope with planting, then what it's really the best is to plant transplants. So think about this. Direct seeding, really those seeds need some warmth to actually sprout, right? And to actually get going and started. Direct seeding late when your days and nights are already pretty cold, this close to your frost date or even after your frost date, really doesn't provide that. Yes, you can definitely tweak that up using hoops and row covers, which we're going to talk about those in just a minute. But what you can really push the envelope on is, instead of doing that, those that can be started indoors, get them started. Be sure your bed is prepared, and you can plant transplants out into cold soil, because they will, with a little bit of hoops and row cover, that'll really help them to become established. But for the sprouting process, it is so much easier to get those seeds to actually, pop and germinate when there is still some warmth in your days. So, but the real key thing is to get those beds prepared. I was looking this morning when I was walking Tucker around before we came here, that our soil is already pretty saturated, and I probably will not get dry again now until March. So what that means is, if I haven't made beds, they're not going to be made. There's just nothing more damaging to your soil than working wet soil. And I have certainly made that mistake in years past, but I try really, really hard not to do it. Y'all, I'm really not believing that y'all don't have any questions. Are we all like thinking about eating tomorrow, right? So with that said, I will just say that I just hope that everybody can really focus this Thanksgiving for the things that we're really thankful for, and just how wonderful we have, those of us that are living in the United States particularly, that we just really have a lot of resources that others just don't even really have access to, right? So even in spite of troubles and even sickness and illness, to just really remember just how much we have to be grateful for. And of course, for all those, your loved ones, your family, and friends. And so just wanted to be sure and say that I'm so grateful for so many things. I am super grateful, of course, for my family. We all work with family. In my family, my husband works with his family. They have a family business, and of course, we're a family business. And I'm just so grateful for those in my family, but also for those that aren't in my family, our team members, and just everybody treats this business like it's theirs. And I appreciate that so very, very much. And y'all remember to post your questions down in the bubble below with the question mark, and I will get to those in just a second here. But anyway, I'm just so very, very grateful. And it's so easy to get caught up in stuff, y'all, that is just really, it's like at the end of the month, are you even going to remember that? That's one of the things that I like to think about. It's like, will I even remember this situation a month from now? And those are the things that are really, really important. So we have some questions down here. Let's take a look and see what we've got. So I'm in zone 8. Can I still start transplants? Sure. Especially if you're in zone 8. I'm in zone 8. We're still planting. The key is be sure to get your beds ready ASAP, because if your soil gets moist, if you have rain or snow, it's just never really going to dry out. So number one, get your seed started, and then almost before you do that, get those beds prepared, ready and waiting, get them mulched. So all you have to do is walk out there and plant your plants, because once those beds get wet, then it is really difficult to ever get those beds prepared. So Freckled Girl Flower Farm is asking, hey Lisa, started some Lizzie, aren't you brave? And they all look great. Awesome. This morning I noticed some algae growth. Should I do something to combat this or let it be? So I'm guessing that you're starting your Lizzies, or you're starting in soil blocks. Whenever soil blocks begin to grow algae, green algae or white moldy looking stuff, that is a sign that the soil is staying moist 24/7, which that's not what you want. You want, in a 24-hour period, you want your blocks to go through a moist to dry cycle. So that means, like, I water every morning. When I go out to water in the morning, those blocks should not still have any moisture left in them. You don't want them bone dry, but you don't want them moist, because if they don't dry out, then this is exactly what we start to see. We don't see that it actually causes a problem with your transplants, but either doing a couple of things: raising your air temperature just a little bit, so you're kind of speeding up that dry and wet cycle, will typically, solve that problem. The algae or mold will die. So I don't think it's going to actually be a problem. Tweed Thistle Farms, love your course. Oh, thank you. Overwhelmed with information and plans for spring season too. I'm so glad that you said this, or you brought that up. Please don't be overwhelmed. I know how overwhelming it is. When I can remember going through a course recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'll just never digest all this. You just do the best you can, and then it's the second and the third time you're reviewing these courses that really starts to resonate. And you don't have to take it all in. You just have to take the parts in that you're dealing with right now. And the rest of it, you just file away in the back of your brain that I can go back and look at that later. And it does change everything. One of the things that I was talking to, all of our courses, all of our big school course enrollments are over now for this year. We don't have any more open enrollments until June of next year, when Dave Dowling's class opens. And I was talking to Gretel and Steve last night kind of about this. This is one of the things that I think is so absolutely powerful about our online courses. First off, you have it forever. You can watch it as many times as you want. But what happens is each one of our areas, whether it's my class, the basics, Dave's class, Gretel's class, Jenny Love's class, or Ellen's class, there's so much depth and business building opportunity in each one of those categories that, you can watch it and all right, I'm focusing on XYZ because that's where I am. But it sows these little seeds in the back of your mind of what your future can look like and where you can come back to. And I think that is just the most powerful part of our online courses is it helps you where you're stumped right now, but it opens a whole world of opportunity, and you don't have to seize those opportunities immediately. You can really organically grow your business. And when I say organically, that means to do it naturally as it actually happens for you, as doors and windows open for you to actually walk through. So I'm really glad that you said that. And I also want to say that at 1 o'clock, I'm over on Clubhouse, which, by the way, now you don't need, all you have to do is download the phone app. And you just have to join and then go find my Flower Farming Club and join it. You'll get notified when I go live. At 1 o'clock today, I'm talking about ideas about holiday markets, what to sell. And, one of the things that I'll be talking about, since you're a student, I'll highlight this here in case you don't go over there, is one of the greatest things to sell at holiday markets are gift certificates for whatever it is that you sell, whether it's subscriptions or just straight flowers. It's a ticket for, it's the way you sell the gift to the people that are the family members or the loved one of someone that loves flowers. There is nothing a better gift for someone that loves to get flowers than to have a certificate to walk up and get flowers, whether it's at a market or a subscription, because a lot of people feel guilty buying flowers for themselves. And if you're one of our students, you know that you have access. We have an image library for our students to use that are in my course, because we know they don't have a lot of flower images potentially. So they can actually use some of our images to create a beautiful little gift certificate, plus the Canva stuff you just learned about of how to make a super great thing that you could sell at markets or on social media. So I'm talking more about that over on Clubhouse at 1 o'clock. And Clubhouse now records. We can do replays. That means that we hit the replay button, and that means that whatever I talk about is stored over there, so you can go and listen just like you can a podcast, basically. So check that out. All right. Do you carry the giant marigolds that you grow? Yes. So she's asking the very same thing. So yes, the marigolds the seed we sell is the same ones that I grow, which are the giant marigolds. So yes, and absolutely love them. You lose your appreciation of marigolds until fall comes. You know what? I used to give out little marigold bouquets. Little teeny things to trick-or-treaters. They absolutely adored it. Of course, I gave candy too, but let's see. Do any cool season seedlings get pinched back now in the fall, or should I wait till spring? Thank you. So that all depends. We pinch soil blocks. I pinch half. Always I pinch half. Typically in the tray. Then it gives them about 7 to 10 days to recover, and then we plant them. If they're already planted out in the field and you're already cold, I would wait until very early spring. And when I say very early spring, I mean the first crack of spring, when they start to show signs of starting to grow a little bit. That's the perfect time to do it. And for me, so let's see, our last frost date is typically mid-April. I would think that would be the 1st of March. So you have to get out there while it's still cold. But that way, it's a little bit of a shock to the plant to do that in the middle of winter. I just don't do it. So give that a whirl. All right. I actually started the Lizzie's in 75 cell plug trays. So this is a great testimony about the difference between plugs and soil blocks. It's maintaining proper moisture level. And so, I would see what you can do about what I advised you to do. Just apply it to the cell. I mean, the air temperature is about the same. So this one is troubleshooting dahlias. What is your recommendation if you open a box with molding dahlias just a couple of weeks after putting them away? First off, I don't really grow. I'm not a big dahlia grower, so I probably really can't help you. So you're talking about that you dug and stored dahlias. I would definitely not ask me that. That means there's a lot of moisture in there. So whether your dahlias were wet when you stored them, open a box with molding dahlias just a couple of weeks after putting them away. I would definitely let them air out. But I would definitely ask someone that has more experience than I do. Storing dahlias was one of the biggest headaches for us. They were just too much work. So I am so sorry, Lou Fields. Hi, Lisa. What do you do for your beds that will be spring and summer planted? Do you still prep them in the fall? Do you cover them until planting? So what do you do for your beds that will be spring and summer planted? So I'm assuming that you're speaking of my first warm season tender annual planting in the spring and summer. No, those beds are cover cropped in clover right now, or winter rye. And then the area that is my first summer rotation, the very first ones in spring that we plant that are like mid-April for us, is in clover. The beds that are in the area where the second rotation would have gone would typically be in rye, because it takes rye much longer to break down. So no, we just cover crop them, try to prevent weeds from growing so that we can put down dry organic fertilizer, and actually we don't do anything to them until it's time to plant, basically. Or actually, we'll make them a little bit early, and because we'll use the black biodegradable film on those so that the beds can be warming up just a smidgen before we actually plant them. So I hope that helps. And I think that is all of our questions for right now. All right, so I answered that one already. All right. So back to the cool flower $1 million question. The question really is, can you get your beds prepped? That's the saving grace. And so the next questions that I'll start getting is for very early spring planting, which is where people in the way north, zones 4, 5, and 3 actually make the most out of cool flowers. They'll say, oh my gosh, I can't work my soil. That's because you're supposed to have prepared your beds in fall. Everybody prepares their beds for cool flowers in the fall, regardless if you're fall planting right away or if you're planting in very early spring, because the soil is just too wet, and it's just not even worth risking trying to prepare those beds. So direct seeding is a little tough. Yes, the seeds won't die, but guess what does grow? So if you direct seeded right now and you don't have any heat, you're going to direct sow and those seeds are going to sit there. But you can count on that the cool season hardy annual weed seeds are not going to hold back. They're just going to germinate right away. And those would be your chickweed, henbit. Those are our 2 big problem weeds. And that's the problem. Then your seeds sit there all winter waiting for very early spring. So, friends, the whole thing is to try your best to really be on time. So I'm in zone 7A. I just ordered some crimson clover seed from you. Is it too late to sow the seeds? It really is about your frost date, not so much your actual zone. And again, they need a little bit of warmth. You can actually search engine what's the coldest that crimson clover will germinate. I know that winter rye is 32 degrees, but if you have a row cover, you can definitely lay a row cover. I have done that before, in fact, over cool season hardy annual cover crop that I did not get in time, and I was just so afraid they wouldn't germinate well. So be sure when you plant it, be sure to cover the soil, be sure to get it moisture, and then if you're not having bright sunny days to really heat the soil up a little bit, I would throw a row cover over it just for added insurance. So I think that's all of our questions. So the big question now is, are you ready for your very early spring planting? We are not starting seeds right now. We started some. The month of November is typically our go-to. Any seed failures we had, we restart. Anything we forgot, which is what we are just planting right now, are some varieties. We forgot to do some Sweet William that we wanted to start, and we added some more Rudbeckias. And so those transplants are still growing, but the beds are ready and waiting for them outside. And as I mentioned earlier, I have not put my row covers up yet, but I will probably do that on Friday. We're going down a little bit lower. And now that the reason I wait for that mid-20s is because by the time we typically get to those kind of nighttime temperatures, that means our days are not heating up. What I'm trying to avoid is overheating my cool flowers to encourage them to grow bigger before we head into the deep days of winter. Bigger plants do not withstand the cold as smaller plants do. And so, our cool flowers, I was just looking the other day, our cool flower garden looks better this year than I have seen it in years. Our direct seeded did fabulous, and all of our transplants are just, I was really impressed at our Billy Balls, our Crispidia. So, it doesn't happen that way every year, friends. But again, I want to say that the what starts happening for us now here at the Gardener's Workshop is we start getting, emergency orders for row cover. That's what's right up here. And have y'all seen the t-shirt? I did put it up here. This is the back of our t-shirt. The Flower Farm crew. Is that not the greatest? It's our, I'll let you guess who Babs the Golden Retriever is. But these are my legs, Kelly's legs, Bobo's, and Suzanne's. I'll let you try to figure out who's who on there, right? But these are also on sale. Super soft. It's got our logo on the front. But we just love this image and would love for you guys to wear some of our swag. So check out our store for that. The row covers, which I was uncovering that to show you, we now have back in stock the 250-foot length and the 500-foot length. We have hoops and weight bags. That is a question that I often get. This is a roll, I think, of 10. They come in 10 packs or 25 packs. You can either put sand, rock, or sand in these. They need to weigh about 15 pounds, and that's the magic number to really hold your row covers down. And when you use what we do, because I live in a really windy site, and you may not need to do this, but if you're in wind like I am, I put 3 at each end of the hooped row, and that allows me to, and you can actually go to the product page of the row cover on the gardenersworkshop.com, and there's a video. Click the video tab, and there's a video of me doing this. Sometimes people tend to want to tuck the row covers up, kind of pull them in, but in fact what holds them down the best is to lay the row cover over the hoops and then pull it all the way out and set the bag on top of the spread out row cover. The row cover has to be on the fabric to hold it down. And I put 3 bags on each end, one in the center of the row cover and then one on each side with it pulled out. By sealing the edges of the row cover in that way, putting a bag at the foot of each hoop on both sides, we withstand some serious days and days of windstorms without them coming up. And why you want to use row bags, other stuff rips your row cover. Rocks, bricks, clips, I've read all kinds of things people using on their row cover. And, the row cover that we use is the lightweight. It's the Ag 19. And the reason I do that is I want the maximum light to penetrate the row cover. And if I have a crop, and so the second part of that, before I say this, is I only fall plant those cool flowers that are actually winter hardy in my zone. I don't try to grow straw flower. I don't fall plant straw flowers because they typically are not winter hardy here for me. So I'm not trying to provide cold protection. I'm using row cover for wind protection and to concentrate the winter sunshine, to really make the most of it on our black biodegradable film covered beds, right? And it's making a better world. So, but if I do have a crop, let's just say it's going to be unusually cold. We don't go down to the single digits very often. And when we do, it's only for a few days. But let's say that's happening. Then I would just put a second cover over top, so that doubles the protection of that row cover. But I stick with the lighter weight row cover because the maximum amount of light, water, and air penetrated. And using weight bags instead of rocks, clips just do not hold. All the frustration that I see people voicing on social media, it's almost 95% of the time it's because they're not using the proper weights. They're not heavy enough. They're not using enough of them. And if you've ever seen that video, and I'm trying to think, I'm not even sure where it is. It might be in our video guide of my field with, we had a windstorm for like 5 days, and our windstorms just go on for days and days, and I do not have to go out there and recover our beds. They really do stay down. And you always take row covers down when you have snow coming. And so thank you, Pedal Pusher. What about snow on the row cover, Zone 5B? Excellent question. These are not tunnels that are built to withstand snow. These are not caterpillar tunnels. These are low tunnels with lightweight row cover. So you always take the covers down. And I just got a question last week about, well, if snow doesn't smother your plants, why does the row cover? When you have snow on top of row cover, it does tend to crush, as well as it smothers them in a different way. Snow alone is an excellent insulator. It encapsulates the plants. When you put cloth underneath there, it totally changes that whole dynamic. And when the snow melts, you're liable to have a slime fest underneath there of dead, rotting plants. So I always... If there's just a chance that snow's coming, because here's the pain in the neck. So sometimes it'll say for us, we might get a light dusting of snow. I still go out there and take my covers down because there is nothing worse than getting a light, wet snow touch that then freezes, and then all of your covers are frozen solid and they're smashing your plants and you can't get it off. So I always take my row covers down when precipitation of freezing rain or snow is coming. And even freezing rain, the year that Babs died, I remember this because Babs died, right? Unexpectedly. It was January 4 years ago, and we first got a hellacious ice storm. Then we got snow, and we got a lot of snow, like 10 or 12 inches, which we don't normally get around here. And our plants were completely encapsulated in ice. And then we got a snowstorm. And my covers were down. But I can remember, with Babs dying, she was our golden retriever. It was like I didn't even care what was going on outside in the field. I just didn't even worry about it. And like 8 days after we were like isolated for, I think like 5 days, our city pretty much stopped. When the snow finally began to melt and I actually came out of the house after that, our plants looked happier than before they went into it. So do not be afraid for cool flowers. Cool flowers can handle themselves. If they are well established and you're planting within your winter hardiness zone, they will shine in light of snow and rain. And the fact that it rained here several days ago, so our soil is wet and my cool flowers are well watered, they face this cold temperatures even better. They're hydrated, right? So don't be afraid of cold temperatures. So let's see. So my sweet Williams are growing well, but they have a brown spot on them. What would you know what that is? I do not know what that is, but I will tell you, this is the great opportunity for you to take a picture of that and actually connect with your local extension office. This is exactly what those master gardeners or your extension agent is waiting for. And what we find as flower growers, they are so interested in learning more. I mean, they oftentimes are not looking at such interesting stuff as flowers. So I would take a picture and get a definitive identification of that before you go into winter and the problem spreads or you have more trouble. And it's a great way to make that connection. There are so many resources available to growers, to farmers and gardeners through your local extension offices. Those are your tax dollars at work, y'all. This is a free service unless they want to send it off to a lab. And if you're truly a commercial grower, oftentimes you don't even have to pay for that sometimes. Depends on what it is and what state you're in. So check that out. Y'all, I'm just wishing everybody a really happy Thanksgiving. I can't wait for you to go over to thegardenersworkshop.com and check out our store-wide sale. That is seeds, merchandise, not my books, not courses, and not gift certificates, but everything else, y'all. You just do not know. That is like the deal of a lifetime. So stock up on row covers, hoops, seeds, blocking mix, y'all. It's just time to think ahead and get your stuff, and not to mention do some really great Christmas shopping. I mean, the swag of our t-shirt is a great flower farmer gift, right? Anything else I need to say, Rhonda? Just happy Thanksgiving from the Gardener's Workshop team. And we appreciate y'all very much. And I'll see you at 1 o'clock over on Clubhouse to talk about holiday market selling ideas. So friends, till we meet again, ciao.